Welcome to the MVP show. Our guest today probably needs no introduction. He is one of the most prominent personalities in the Dynamics community. Besides being an 8 times Microsoft MVP, he was also a recipient of the CRM User Group Granite Award in 2016 for being one of the most active partner members in the user group community. I'm happy to welcome Gustaf to the show. Full show notes can be found by visiting nz365guide.com/119. Now let's get on with the show. Gustaf, welcome to the MVP show.
Thank you.
Mate, good to have you on here. It's been a while, I think, since we've chatted. How's your week been? Bit nervous?
Not really. It's been a good week. I have started my vacation now, but it's not really been a vacation though, because I've been working. It's the life of a business owner, I think. The buck stops here. I think that's
so true.
Yeah.
So true. When you own the business, right? Or there's no one behind you in the queue, right?
Yeah, that's true. So I have we had some customers. They had some issues. They were moving some of the Office 365 to the cloud, and they have the CRM on-prem, and then the server-side sync stopped working. So we have to fix it. It's how it works, you know.
So Gustaf, where are you from? What part of the world do you hail from?
I'm from Sweden. I'm from an island called Gotland. And I'm actually just a few hundred meters from where I was more or less born. I was born in a hospital like everybody else, more or less, but where I was actually raised. So I have just built my own house there a year ago. And so I'm in my new summer house, which Larry Lentz usually calls my mountain summer house, which it looks a bit funny because I have boulders in my garden here, because that's what there's lots of limestone rocks here. So that's so there's there used to be water coming up from the last ice age. So the land's been rising up from the sea. So that's where the water's been eroding away some of the limestone, but some of the limestone's been still there, and that's been, so you have these almost pillar formed limestone rocks that's sitting around, and yeah.
Okay, so this is your vacation home, because I it was less than a year ago, I was in your home with your wife and children, having a lovely dinner after a 365 Saturday event in Stockholm there. So, and I was just trying in my mind, I don't remember seeing those rocks, but this makes sense. So this is your vacation home.
Yes, true, it is.
Okay. So tell us a bit about, first of all, your company, because you're an owner of a company, and you did something quite unique in getting your wife to come in as CEO. Can you just step us through that?
Yeah. I started I was working as an architect or chief architect at Logica, which is now CGI, and then a friend of mine, he was running an IT company, and they had sort of started. They were using Dynamics a lot for themselves, and then they had some customers that they had been asked if they could implement Dynamics for those customers, and so they started doing that. And then there's this guy who's doing Dynamics. He quit, and then they were thinking maybe we should just spin that off into a separate business. And so he came and asked me, maybe we should spin up a new business. So he and I we'd started this new company, which is the company we run now. Just a few years after that, I bought him out because but the problem was when you were running your own company. I started it. I contracted Richard Nordstrom, or I employed him just after 3 months, and then I employed one more guy, more or less, a year or two after that. And it's tricky after that when you come to a size of 3, 4, somewhere around that, because especially in my case, I was I became MVP around that time, as 2012 as well, and I had I was a good personal brand around me. Rickard hadn't worked that much with Dynamics at that time. He was an engineer, so he's a very good technician, and he was learning fast. but the problem was that all customers, they knew about me, so they wanted me for everything. I was running the company. I was doing like all HR stuff. I was selling everything and trying to do recruitment, and it was really tough trying to build the company and being the principal consultant as well. So that was a trick, and so I was thinking, okay, how am I supposed to fix this? How am I? And then my wife, she had been working for Ericsson many years, and then she got into consultancy and found that wasn't not at all what is the same thing as in working with a large product centered organization. And after that steel bath, she found that it would be better to spend many hours working for our company instead of working for somebody else. Yes, so she started working as CEO for us instead, and I could focus on our customers, which I still do. So I'm not the CEO anymore, but I'm of course in the management team at our company.
You're still the king of your home, though, right?
Well, we can say that, I think. You know how it works, yeah?
So true. Now, my opening question was, have you been nervous? And just to set some context for the listeners is that, we're recording this on the 7th. We're recording it on the 3rd of the 7th. So the 3rd of July, and we all just got renewed as MVPs. And the thing is, so Gustaf's gone through that process. 8 years you've been an MVP now, right, Gustaf?
Yes, and of course, from that perspective, you're always nervous on the 1st of July, and nowadays everybody gets renewed, or if they get renewed, they get renewed on the 1st of July. My period as it was always on the 1st of July, so 1st of July has always been like very nervous time for me. So it's always been nervous, and you never know, have I done enough?
Exactly. My wife said to me this week, she goes, I'm so pleased that the MVP program moved it to July, because I've been an MVP since the 1st of January 2012. So that was when it was quarterly. You came into the program, and they didn't, and so therefore you got renewed based on your quarter as well. And of course, her birthday is actually the 31st of December, and she had I was always more interested in whether I was renewing than her birthday, and she was like, I'm really happy it's now moved, to some other part in the calendar. Now, the other amazing thing, your claim to fame is that for the company of your size, you now have 3 MVPs on board.
We do, yeah.
That's pretty amazing. Who are the other 2?
It was Jonas Rapp and Sarah Lagerqvist.
Yeah, man, you must be so proud.
I am. I'm very proud of them.
Especially Sarah coming on recently, right? She has been doing a heck of a lot in the community in the last 12 months.
Yes,
so
she
good.
Has. Yeah. She's an amazing woman. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you must be so happy having.
Jonas, what he's doing for I think that the people that are not in the community, that are not using Fetch XML Builder, they can probably be counted on one hand.
Exactly.
So it's an amazing tool, and I use it a lot, and it's very, very good. So if you're listening to this and you haven't used Fetch XML Builder, you definitely should.
Go check it out. And the other thing I love about Jonas is his sense of humor.
Yeah.
You never know whether he's pulling your leg or he's for real, and I do love that about him. Also, he took me out for dinner, when I first visited Stockholm. Sorry, he took me out for lunch, and he was a newly minted MVP at that time, so a couple of years ago now. So yeah, very hospitable, which was fantastic. And you've got a 365 Saturday coming up later this year, is that right?
Yeah, we do. We are, yes. In the beginning of October, 5th of October.
And planning's all underway?
Yes, we are. I think we've prolonged the call for speakers. Do you
want me to come and speak?
Yes, please. Of course. We'd love to have you speak.
Yeah, it was good fun doing it last year. And
you spoke about the how to be a good consultant. I think
the artisan consultant, right? The artisan consultant, and I think it's an important topic. But we'll come up with something new. I'm actually going up to Norway shortly to talk around the common data model, and I feel there's a lot of people that they hear CDS and they hear common data model, and then that to a degree, a lot of people just don't understand what a data model is. If you've come particularly from the Canvas part of the world where you're more you design your user experience up front and then kind of attach it to some data behind. where, in our side of things, our journey has always been start at the data and work your way up.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that there's also people coming from the other side. I don't know if you worked with telcos or anything, but then in telcos they have a defined data model that's called SID, SID, and I've asked people in Microsoft, okay, so how? Let's say that I'm coming from the telco area, and I have a customer saying, okay, we have this data model. Can you implement that on the CDS? And they're like, well, we don't know.
But surely that should definitely be that. I mean, that's the whole idea of CDS, right? Is that you should be able to take any data model. I mean, someone would have to naturally build it out and then export it as a solution at this point, right?
Well, you should check it out. It's extremely abstract data model.
Is that like so? What, multiple entities and
an inheritance, and it uses inheritance like crazy. And since we don't really support that in the CDS, there's issues with that. So
as in, there's not really what you're saying, the ability for data to be inherited just by its relationship.
No, like entities being. So, for instance, you have an entity called party, which is abstract, and then you have like contact being a version of party, and then you have accounts being a version of party, and you have like you see the point?
Yeah, I see an opportunity there, Gustaf. I see an opportunity.
yeah. I think that it's a very good idea to sort of start looking at reshaping the CDS into something like that, and like looking at these very theoretical models that, like for instance, this SID is, and seeing, okay, how would you implement that into the CDS? I think the problem is also when I worked, I actually did one of this, like, I would call it like making the SID concrete and implementing it into Dynamics. I did it for CRM3 and CRM4 a long time ago. So I mean, you can't really use it in its like default way. You have to make it more concrete because it's totally unusable in the standard way. But it's like that's how it's defined, and I mean it's very interesting to look at that and how. So we have like a very abstract model, and then to be able to use it for a specific customer, you have to make it concrete in some perspective. So that's it's interesting, but it's a challenge. But that's also takes it to the point. Okay, so what's Microsoft's role in this? Are they supposed to build a service that can handle this very abstract perspective, and then we are supposed to make it more concrete for each customer? Or so I mean, what's the role of the technology from that perspective, right?
And for them, it'll come purely down to the opportunity sizing, right? As in how big the potential opportunity is.
Yeah, but I think it's also, I mean, that depends on what's the role of the CDS going to be. Is it going to be used as a true canonical data model in the architecture of the like large enterprises, or is it just going to be used as a sort of like an intermediary data model, or just as like a application platform to be used for smaller things? I think it depends on the vision you have, what you want to build with that. So.
I think one of the key people then who you like, you talking with Matt Barber about this, or are you talking with Ryan Jones? Because I think these are the kind of chaps that might be open to conversations on that topic.
Yeah, I have discussed it with some of these people, but I haven't felt that I haven't gotten the sort of traction with them that I need. So.
Yeah. Interesting. Voice of the customer officially deprecated.
Yes, not a big surprise now.
I know you had a big commitment to this product though. Like you've invested a lot of hours, I suppose, on it and projects, etc. Do you see that are you just going to stop? I assume you're going to stop selling it now and go to Forms Pro?
Yes. That's the short answer. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a big surprise. I think when Microsoft released their preview of Forms Pro, you could when you just looked into the database on the CDS, you saw what they were doing with it. It was like almost a replica of the data model of the voice of the customer. So it was like, okay, so they're actually replacing voice of the customer. so it was quite obvious what they were doing. So you didn't have to be Einstein to recognize that they are going to deprecate deprecate voice of the customer and move to Force Pro. But that was so it's just a question of the timing for that. So
Do you see there's going to be a migration path? I haven't seen anything to that effect. Is there going to be any tooling around being able to convert one to the other?
I'm not sure I can talk about that.
I love it. I love it. So there you go. I'm in the dark around your NDA content. That's all good. That's all good. It was interesting. I was talking to a major customer the other day. And when I say customer, they're not my customer. They're Microsoft's customer for a pretty large airline. And they were just saying Forms Pro is revolutionizing so many parts of their business now. Anything that was paper-based, it's such a logical way to go to capture the right data in the right place. And then, of course, using Flow, pipe it anywhere that's kind of needed inside the org.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying about voice of the customer. That you can use it for so much more than just being like getting customer surveys back. You can use it for being like they're saying with Forms Pro. It is something that you can use for dynamic forms. For somebody in the business to easily be able to create a form without talking to a developer, getting it out to the customers, getting that data in, using flows to push the data into the right places in Dynamics. It's super efficient to do that. And I mean, if you're talking about the citizen developers, that is exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Listen, I want to get your thoughts on the MVP program, right? You've been in it 8 years. I've heard comments. In fact, I was in an interview yesterday, and the individual lady said that when she looks at the MVP program from the outside, it looks like a bunch of old white dudes, old white dudes in there. But and I totally understand where that comes from. But if you have a look at the latest, I think was around 25 people or MVPs that kind of didn't get renewed this cycle inside BizApp. So I think we're down to 166 odd folks currently in the program. But I tell you, we've never seen so many females in the program. And when I look at the diversity of people under business solutions, it seems to be quite broad and growing.
Yeah, but I might not be like a hyper libertarian, but I'm a bit leaning towards that perspective, and I don't like to put people into different categories. I like to judge people based on their skill set, and I think that Sarah deserves her credit and being an MVP for what she's done, not because of who she is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that
totally agree.
And I think that goes for everybody else in the program, for staying or not staying. It's because what they've done and what they've not done. So if they're white or they're black or they're female or male, I think that's beside the question.
So one of the things that the program is about, of course, is being talented in an area and then contributing, right? So really, is it a level playing field? Do you see the program at the moment?
Is it ever?
What do you mean?
I mean, is it ever a level playing field when you're playing? I mean, I'm born in Sweden. I have free university here because it's paid by the state. How many countries have that?
Not many.
No. So is it a level playing field?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So here's something else I'm interested in. Dynamics, let's say the MVP program for all its years is really around people with strong technical skills. And, more leaning in the early days to strong dev or strong IT pro type skills. And now, in our world, we've got this whole area of makers that are creating products that don't necessarily come from a technology background. They're building apps and they're on their technology journey, but they're strong subject matter experts in their field. So whether their field is airlines, whether their field is, mining, airports, whatever it might be. Do you think the MVP program is set up to allow these people that are not necessarily strong technologists in? Or do you reckon they should go find a different program?
No, I think it is, because I think there are people that are not super strong from a technology perspective. Like look at Rick McCutcheon, for instance. He's not a super strong technology guy, but he is still an MVP, and he's proven that you can be an MVP and not be like super techie developer. So I think you definitely can, but you have to recognize what the MVP program is. It's like you are most valuable professional to Microsoft. You're helping Microsoft doing stuff, and that's the point of it, the program, right?
So I remember, and I know I've discussed with this you recently, and it's a bit fuzzy, etc. But some years ago, I remember chatting with you at a summit, and you talked about some. I don't know whether you'd read something or some research or something like that around the value of the MVP program to Microsoft. So, in other words, why do they have it? Why do they give these benefits away? Why do they have this community? I think of currently around 2,600 or 800. I can't remember the exact number. What's the big win for them in this whole thing in your mind?
From that,
yeah, I would love to see it.
I think it would be a great paper, because there's so many different wins. I mean, just like there's different aspects of this. There's first, the most obvious aspects are, of course, people. There's lots of MVPs just sitting there answering a lot of questions on forums, but so that's one thing. Then you have all the people that are answering questions on forums and want to be MVPs. So you have like a pull effect of the MVPs, and so I mean, you have to ask the question: what would happen if we remove the MVP program today, and then looking like in a five or 10 year period? What would be the alternative cost to Microsoft? And I think you'd lose lots of ambassadors that are talking warmly about the product, that are they're advocating for the product. You'd lose lots of these people that are helping other people, and they're actually not Microsoft, so the trust in what they're saying is higher than what Microsoft are saying in some perspectives. So because people are actually trusting them with that, and so I think that from that perspective it's also higher. And then you can probably figure out even other perspectives in that as well. So I think there's many areas here where you can find really important things. And I think if you compare the Microsoft community to other products, you can see that there's like the vividness of this community that's around all the Microsoft products is amazing. And I think that is not it's not just happenstance. There's a reason for that. And I think that the MVP community and the MVP program is part of that, of course.
Yeah, so good. So you're going to Orlando for a user group summit?
I am, yes. I'm doing 4 presentations.
4 presentations.
I hope to be on your pub as well, if you can manage to move it.
I'm aiming to get the pub quiz moved at the end of the day. Now I understand that Sweden is going to represent and going for global bragging rights.
Well, my company I think with my company we have 9 presentations or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And are you going to do any work on the medics booth? I often see you there with your medic coat on.
Yes, always. Yeah, I love that. I think it's such a test of your skills, and I love that troubleshooting thing. It's
thinking on the spot.
Yeah, and I mean you always get these amazing tricky questions, and you're like, oh, maybe can I figure something out that helps this person right there, right now.
So good.
Yeah.
So good. The number one benefit to you of being an MVP is what?
Oh, number one.
Only one. If there was only one thing, what would it be? You would stay for it.
I think all the relationships that I get through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's
both the MVPs and the Microsoft relationships you get. But I think I get more MVP relationships, and they're amazing because these people they're so skilled and they're very nice. I love it. Yeah.
Okay, let's do a bit of a wrap up. We've already cranked through our time. Your best purchase under $100 is what?
Best purchase under $100. Yeah, I should have thought of that. Yeah.
It's meant to put you on the spot. You're not meant to.
Yeah. I don't know.
If someone wants to become an MVP, what's the one? If you could only give them one bit of advice, what would it be?
You have to be passionate. So find your passion within dynamics and go for it.
Good, I like it. Any luck on the $100 one?
I have a Logitech. It's called MX Anywhere 2 mouse. It's almost $100. It's a very expensive mouse, but you can run it on glass, and I love that.
Ah, wow, that is unique.
Yeah, so it's a really good mouse, and it's very firm. I love the feel of it, and I use it almost every day. So it's having a really good mouse is really good.
Nice. Best place to visit in Sweden?
Gotland. Where I come from. It's the limestone island in the middle of the Baltic.
Yeah, when you say a limestone island, like how many thousands of islands is Sweden made up of?
It's the biggest island in Sweden. So
it is the biggest island. Okay.
Yes, it's in the middle. It's there's 50,000 people living here. So it's rather big. If you look at the map, you'll see a big island in the middle of the Baltic Sea. And the Russians want to have it because then they can have like aircraft carriers or stuff. It can just like dominate the Baltic Sea with it. So it's some people call it the like unsinkable aircraft carrier of the Baltic Sea. So it's but it's beautiful because it has lots of very old history here, and the nature here is very special. It's almost a bit Mediterranean so it's very beautiful, and we have a town that's they started building in the 7th century. We're like 8th century, so it's a very old town with a wall around it. It's called Visby. And I'm actually meeting Larry Lentz. He's coming on a cruise ship tomorrow.
Is that right? Oh, well, good on you. That'll be great. Say hi to Larry for me. Before we go, if people want to connect with you, what's the best way they can do that?
I think send me an email at gustaf.westerlund@crmconsulterna.se. crmconsulterna. It's a bit weird. If you just check out our website, you can find that.
Hey, thanks for listening. Full show notes can be found at nz365guide.com/119. Get involved in the conversation. Every Wednesday, Steve Mordu and I go live on air to answer your questions. Join us on YouTube live stream. You can find us at youtube.com/NZ365Guy. If you want, hit the bell and you'll get notified 1 hour before we go live. Otherwise, see you next week.